we will discuss anatomy and physiology of muscles, right? First, this is necessary for physiology to know the anatomy. If we have anatomy, we can discuss physiology easily, right? In physiology, we will discuss according to your course the muscles introduction, structure and functions of muscles, the neuromuscular junction and types of muscles, right? This is your topics in your syllabus, in your curriculum, right? So first we will define muscle. Any one of you who can tell me the definition of muscle? What is muscle? Contractile tissues. Anyone else? These are the specialized tissues in our body, because our body is composed of how many types of tissues? Four types. One is epithelial tissues, second one muscular tissues, nervous tissues and connective tissues. So if we talk about muscles, it's mean that we are talking about the muscular tissues, right? One single cell of muscle is called myocyte. It is called myocyte, and the collection of these myocytes forms muscular tissues, and these muscular tissues form muscles. So we can define muscle is that muscle is a specialized tissue specialized tissues which have the ability of contraction and relaxation. Contraction and relaxation, right? This is specialized tissues in our bodies which have the ability of contraction and relaxation. After discussing the anatomy, we will discuss the contraction as well as relaxation. That what is contraction, what is relaxation, because you have a topic contraction of muscles, the process of mechanism of contraction of muscles. So we will discuss this contraction in a very big detail, right? For now, muscles are, how many types of muscles are there in body? Three types. Muscles are basically three types. The one is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle. Second one is cardiac muscles and smooth muscles. So let's just in short we will discuss these types of muscles. So we have how many types of muscles? Three muscles. Muscles are of three types. There are some similarities and some differences between these types of muscles, right? For example, first we have skeletal muscles. What are skeletal muscles? Skeletal muscles are the muscles which are attached to the skeleton, which are attached to the bone and responsible for the posture and locomotion and movements of body, right? So these are the muscles which are attached to attached to bones or skeleton. Second, these muscles are voluntary in action. They are voluntary. What's mean by voluntary? Anyone? जो हमारे इख्तियार में होते हैं. If we want, we will use. If we don't want, we will not use. For example, if I want, I will took this marker by my muscles. But if I am not wishing that I am taking this marker will placed here, right? My muscles cannot move automatically, right? So this is called voluntary, and this is controlled by acetylcholine from our brain, right? This is a function of acetylcholine. It will innervated by motor fibers, right? The next thing, these muscles are multinucleated, multinucleated, right? For example, if we have a slide here and having skeletal muscles. So, for example, these are the fibers of skeletal muscles. The next point is these are cylindrical in shape. The skeletal muscles are the fibers of skeletal muscles are in cylindrical form. They are elongated, long fibers are present in skeletal muscle. So these are cylindrical in shape, right, like this, and they also have striated. They are they have striations in structure. For example, these are the striations. Which thing is responsible for these striations we will discuss in detail, right, in last. But these muscles are striated, right, and these muscles are multinucleated, mean the cells of these muscles have more than one nucleus. For example, if we took one myocyte from skeletal muscle, which is called sarcomere, right, this have insides there are a lot of nucleuses present, and one other thing which is abundant in this cell is mitochondria. Mitochondria is abundantly present in skeletal muscles, right? So, and the next point is these muscles are unbranched. They are unbranched. These fibers, you can see that there are no branching deviating from these fibers, so they are unbranched, right? The number of these muscles are approximately from 639 to 660, right? In some books it is 630, and some it is 635, 639, 640, 641, right? But most of the research is on 639 muscles. There are 639 skeletal muscles only in our body, right? The next muscle is smooth muscle. Next is smooth muscle. Basically, we will discuss the skeletal muscles because the other muscles are involuntary in actions and we cannot control that, right? So, smooth muscles are present in hollow organs, surfaces, and hollow organs like stomach, right? Lungs, intestines, right? Kidneys. These are smooth muscles. These smooth muscles are uninucleated. They are uninucleated. For example, we have another slide here. This is a slide on which we have smooth muscles. They are unbranched but uninucleated. And then, right? So uninucleated they are, and the other thing is they are unstriated. They have no striations, right? The next thing is these are voluntary, but smooth muscles are involuntary. Can you say to your stomach, please stop for a while? No, we cannot stop our stomach. We cannot stop our intestinal movements, right? So these are involuntary in action and controlled by which nerve system? Autonomic nervous system, right? And these are controlled by somatic nervous system, right? And these are controlled by autonomic nervous system, right? The next thing is cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, right? If we talk about the locations, the skeletal muscles are attached to all skeleton are bones. We will discuss just in a few seconds that there is two connections. One is direct connection and one is indirect connection, right? The smooth muscles are present in, for example, stomach, kidneys, intestines, lungs, etc. These are smooth muscles, right? And cardiac muscles are called cardiac because it is present in heart. But why they are not numbered in smooth muscles? Because cardiac muscles have the characteristic mix from smooth and skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscle have own characteristics, smooth have their own characteristic, but cardiac muscles have mixed characteristics of smooth and skeletal muscles, right? The first one, they are present in heart. Second thing, they are involuntary, and you can say here, you can see that smooth muscles are also involuntary, right? These muscles are striated, and you can see that skeletal muscles are also striated, right? The unique characteristic which is not present in skeleton in smooth is they are branched. Branched. They have a lot of branches, and these muscles have no branches, right? The next thing, they are controlled by autonomic nervous autonomic nervous system, right? You cannot stop your heart for a while even, right? And a doctor also cannot stop this heart, right? Because heart is responsible for blood pumping, and blood is responsible for nutrition of all the tissues of body, right? If the heart stopped, your all tissues will damage, will die, right? So these are the mixed characteristics. If we have a slide of cardiac muscles, right? For example, these are the fibers of, they have branches, right? They have branches. But one thing, one thing in cardiac muscles is it cannot get fatigue, and skeletal muscles get fatigue. So cardiac muscles cannot get fatigue, and they are striated. But uninucleated, right? So this is just some points about the types of muscles, right? For discussing the structure of muscle, skeletal muscle, we will take one muscle and will cut it cross sectionally, and we'll see cross sectionally that what are the main parts inside this skeletal muscle, and and we'll discuss that parts one by one in detail, right? And last we will get a cell which is called the muscle cell, and muscle cells is formed of fibers, myofibrils, and we will discuss the structure of that myofibril in detail for neuromuscular junctions, right? So let's discuss the anatomy of skeletal muscles. For this, we will take a skeletal muscle from our body, right? For example, I have a bone here. For example, is humerus bone. For example, this is humerus bone, right? And humerus bone have a lot of types of muscles are attached to this, but biceps, triceps, right? We'll take one muscle from that. For example, this is the muscle, and muscles is attached to bone by which connective tissue? Ligament or tendon? Tendons. Tendons is responsible for, this is tendon, or tendon is responsible for attachment of muscles plus bones, right? We will discuss in last that, but let's discuss it. The connection of muscles and bone is of two types. One is called indirect connection. Indirect tendon connection. And second one is direct direct connection. Right? Indirect connection is present abundantly. The muscles are abundantly attached to bones by indirect connection. Indirect connection mean that, for example, if I have a bone here, for example, this is a bone, right? And this red is muscle, right? And this muscle is attached to this bone by a tendon. This is called indirect connection, right? But if the muscle sheets are directly attached to bones, for example, this blue is bone and this red is muscle, and this muscle is directly attached to this bone, this is called direct connection. But this direct connection is very less in body because it needs space, it needs a lot of space, and this connection have require a less space, right? The next thing is the tendon and epineurosis. Any one of you who can differentiate between epineurosis and tendon? Anyone? Or Dr. Saab, Hassan? Epineurosis, right? What is the difference between the origin and insertions? What is the difference between the origin and insertion of muscle? Hmm? Starting point. And insertion is the ending point. How you can say that this muscle starting from here and goes to here? It can be possible that, it may be possible that this muscle is starting from here and ending here, right? So this thing is important. Origin and insertion. Origin and insertion. जी सर, जी सर. सही रकम सर क्लास वाला हम करना गोवा चे बब نو هغه باندې زما به ابو راضي زه خو نشم راتلی لك خبرها ده چې دغه د اوس کلاس والم کو نیمه کې درشم صحیح ده سر. What is origin and insertion? For example, we have two bonds. We have two bonds. Any type of two bonds. That may be radius and humerus. Maybe the zygomatic and mandible. Right? Which one bone is moving in these two bones? The zygomatic and mandible. Mandible is moving. The origin is always from the static bone, and the insertion is always on the movable bone. For example, if I have this humerus and radius and I am moving this hand, it's mean that these muscles have origin here and insertion here. But if I move my hand like this, it's mean that the origin of these muscles is on this ulna and radius and insertion is on metacarpals, right? Always the origin is on static bone. For example, if I have bone, let's take the example of this bone, right? For example, I have a bone called zygomatic. This is zygomatic. This is zygomatic bone, and this is the mandible. Mandible means lower jaw, right? And the muscles present between these two bones is called, anyone? This muscle is called, what is the name of this muscle? This is called masseter. Masseter muscle, right? This masseter muscles, if you see, for example, if I am moving my mouth, right, this bone is moving. So this muscles is originated from zygomatic, because this zygomatic bone is static. This is static in state position and immovable form, right? And this mandible is moving, right? So this muscles is inserting on mandible. Understand? The next thing, the tendon and epineurosis. The tendon and epineurosis. For example, we have tendon and we have epineurosis, right? For example, I have, this is a tendon. This is a tendon. Tendon is in a roof form. For example, this is a tendon and it attached to this bone. This is called tendon and it will attach the muscles to this bone, right? But if this tendon is in the form of sheet, for example, we have a lot of epineurosis in our body. For example, this is also a tendon, but it is formed in the form of sheet. This is called epineurosis. We have a lot of epineurosis in our body, right? We will discuss, you will discuss this in anatomy, right? So this is some terminologies according to muscles, right? Now we will take this cross section from the muscle, right? This is tendon and this is, for example, tricep muscles or bicep muscle. We will cut this muscle, only the muscle, not the bone, right? For example, this is the bone and we will take this muscle here, right? For example, this is my bone right, and this is that tendon. Now we are detaching the muscle from bone, right? This is the tendon and we are zooming the muscle. for example, just like this. But there are connective tissues around the muscles which are attaching these muscles to other organs, like for example, on the way these muscles are attached to bones, right? So these are the sheet of that connective tissues. This is a connective tissue layer, right? If we feel, do you know feeling, peeling? If we peel this, we will see red muscles inside here. This is the layer of connective tissues around the muscle, right? And this connective tissue layer is called epimysium. Epimysium, right? And this epimysium is composed of dense dense fibrous irregular connective tissues, right? This epimysium is composed of dense irregular fibrous connective tissues, right? And this is the outer layer of this muscle, but we are taking the cross section here, cross sectional anatomy, right? If we cut this muscle, we will see a small fascicles in this muscle, like this, right? We will see fascicle. This one bundle is called fascicle. Fascicle, right? And this each fascicle have a lot of muscle fibers again. For example, like this. This fascicle also have muscle fibers. This also, right? Now we will take one fascicle from this cross-sectional area and we'll see that how that fascicle is formed, right? So for example, we are taking this one fascicle from this muscle, and we will see that again this is just like the first, right? And surrounded by a layer of connective tissues, right? And if we again feel this, we will see the red muscles inside, right? This layer of connective tissue is called perimysium. This is called perimysium. This is the second layer of skeletal muscle, and this is also composed of dense irregular connective tissues. What is the role of connective tissue? Connection and support. It's supporting the muscles and also it connects the muscles to other organs, right? But if we see here, again fascicles are present in this, and each fascicle is composed of a lot of muscle fibers, and this is the beauty of skeletal muscle. These fascicles are composed of a lot of muscle fibers, right? And again this is called fascicle. It's called fascicle, right? Now we will take one fascicle again and we'll see what are present in this fascicle. For example, I am taking this, right? And again, this is surrounded by connective tissue layer. This is connective tissues layer, right? And this connective tissues layer is called endomysium. Endomysium, right? So we can say that skeletal muscles layers are epimysium, perimysium, and endomysium. Endomysium, right? This is this connective tissues are anyone areolar connective tissues. We will discuss the types of tissues in detail, right? Because in your first chapter, I think in your second chapter, cytology, a portion of tissues is also present. So we will discuss tissues in detail, but this endomysium is composed of areolar connective tissues, right? And this, if we feel this endomysium like this, we will see a membrane here, right, of muscles, and this is again composed of 1,000 of muscle fibers. Muscle fiber. This thing is called circulima. This is the membrane of muscle cell, right? Because this is muscle cell now. This each is muscle cell. Don't be confused between endomysium and sarcolemma. Sarcolemma is just like cell membrane. This is a lipid bilayer, right? And these are connective tissues, right? We will take one cell from here or one fibers from here. For example, we are taking this muscle cell, right? And this one muscle cell is composed of myofibrils, a lot of myofibrils, right? And striations are present on this, right? This is sarcolemma. What is sarcolemma? Just in muscles, we will take SAR. For example, sarcoplasmic reticulum. Sarcolemma. Sarcolemma is for cell membrane. Cell membrane of muscle cell, right? And if we take one cell, for example, this is muscle cell, and I have told you that this is multi-nucleated, right? And if this cell have endoplasmic reticulum, these endoplasmic reticulum are called sarcoplasmic reticulum, right? So this is the muscle cell, and this thing is myofibril. This is the actual contractile unit of muscle. This is the actual contractile unit of muscle. and we will discuss this in a detail, right? That how the muscle is contracted from here. For example, just take a look. When this myofibril is composed of actin and myosin, when these are contracted, this actin and myosin is for contraction. When these are contraction, it pulled this endomysium, because not only one fiber will be contracted, all the fiber will be contracted, and when it contracted, it pulled on this endomysium, right? And when all the endomysium contracted, it will fold perimysium, right? Fold on perimysium, perimysium, right? And when all the perimysiums are contracted, fold on, the epimysium will be fold on. It fold on epimysium. And when epimysium contracted, it will contract this tendon, right? So it will fold tendon, and when tendon is fold, the organ will move, right? For example, in these muscles, when the myofibril is contracted, the endomysium fold on. When endomysium contracted, perimysium contract on. And when perimysium contracted, the epimysium contract. And when epimysium contract, it will contract the tendon. And when tendon contract, the organ move, right? This is the sequence of muscles contraction, right? But behind this contraction and this activity, a lot of proteins are responsible, a lot of neurotransmitters are responsible, a lot of sequences are pathways are responsible, a lot of sodium channels, potassium channels, chloride channel, calcium channels are responsible, right? So we will discuss this pathway in detail, but before discussing this, we will discuss the structure of this myofibril, that how the Z line is formed, how the M line is formed, what are the proteins involved in M line, what are the protein involved in Z, right? For example, actinin. Actinin proteins are responsible for the formation of Z line, right? And myomycin proteins are responsible for making the M line, right? So we will discuss the A and I bands also, the contractions, and I mean that there is a lot of discussion is remaining in muscles, right? But I think this is enough for today. Now we will discuss 3 or 4 special characteristics which are responsible for making these muscles different from other tissues, right? So let's see. No, Ranoma. For example, characteristics of the unique characteristics of muscles, skeletal muscles or muscles. The first one is these muscles are excitable. These muscle cells are excitable. Mean we can excite these muscles. For example, if I have a muscle cell here and it is innervated by a neuron, a motor neuron. This is actually the neuromuscular junction, right? When it take the stimulus from here, it will make action potential in this cell. The action potential may be EPSPs and IPSPs, right? Excitatory or inhibitory, these action potential, and it will bring biological changes inside. Biological changes inside, right? This is the first. thing, excitability. Then the second thing, by this excitability, these muscles can be contracted, right? So the second characteristic of muscle is contractility. Contractility, right? The next thing is stretchable. These tissues are stretchable. Stretchable mean, if for example this is the muscle and by some action potential it is contracted, it is contracted. If when the stimulus will diminish, will finish, these muscles will take its old position again, right? So this is called stretchable, or these muscles are stretchable, are having the stretchability activity, right? The next thing is elasticity, right? So these four are the unique characteristic which making the muscles different from other, right? What are the functions of muscles? Anyone? Functions of muscles: contraction, relaxation. Hmm. Functions of muscles. The first one function is, the first one, movement. We are able to move because of muscles, right? Second one, support joints. Support joints, right? Third one, posture. Posture means position, or maintain position is because of muscles, right? Next, can I say heat production? Heat production, the metabolism, or when the muscles are exercising or contracting, relaxating, it forms heat. So temperature production and temperature maintenance, right? So muscles also have role in homeostasis, right? So these are the some functions of muscles, right? I think this is enough for today, and tomorrow we will discuss the structure of this myofibril are one cell, right? And we'll see that how the actin and myosin forms and how they act, right?